we are live. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all well. I am here and lucky to be joined by Dr. Alessandro Barbone, who is currently working as a doctor in Milan. So right at the epicenter, you could say, of the coronavirus crisis in Italy, which in a way is the coronavirus capital of Europe. And maybe you could argue even in the world now, because the cases have reduced in China, so to speak. So, I mean, it's a privilege to have you on, and I'm very grateful to have you on. So welcome to the conversation, Alessandro.
Thank you.
No problem. So there's a lot I want to ask you. Basically, what's going on now in Italy? What is it like for you in your daily life? Can you just tell us what's up, you know?
I mean, everything has been changed like a earthquake in few days. We used to be safe, and we used to have our pretty life and kids going around, going to school. Everything was just nice and smooth and as everything else. Then that was just February 24th when we realized that we were having few cases of the coronavirus that seemed something so far away, somebody that just didn't mean anything to us more than, reading about some, forgotten war in Ukraine or even, further away. Then one day we start having those first announcement of a red zone, some lockdown, small cities for just few cases. Everybody, I have to apologize to all people around me that were around me. I was like, sure, it's not going to be anything major. It's never going to affect us. It's nothing more than just seasonal flu. Most people are going to be fine. I mean, if you hear President Trump these days, that was perfectly me. Just no more than 3 weeks ago. Our hospital suddenly started changing their politics. There was a crisis committee in our regional area, and they just shut down the hospital. And my first reaction was, oh, come on, we are doing a big mess for nothing. And most people were thinking like that. Most people was kind of, come on, let's us do our job, let's do our work, our daily life. It's kind of when somebody tells you what to do, their first reaction is, be opponent. That's just, I feel it's natural. When somebody tells you what to do and how to do it, is, from how to, park your car on how to, the first, anything in your life. The first thing in the day is just to justify yourself and keep going because you are on the right side.
Yeah.
That, please.
No, so February, you're saying it was February 24th was kind of the first cases you heard about?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I mean, in Italy.
In Italy, yeah. So why do you have any theory on why Italy? Because that's what a lot of people thought. People thought, well, maybe Japan, maybe South Korea, they're near China, and then just randomly Italy. Do you have any theories on why that happened?
I mean, I don't want to speak as man of science. My first thought is, if you look at how that widespread was, some of the most polluted area in China, one of the most polluted area in Europe. That's the and some of the most polluted area in Germany. So I don't know if air pollution is doing something to our lungs, and so the coronavirus is going to be more, how can I say, easy to work, or maybe just easy to give complications, because we don't know anything about India or other area, just because we don't perform as many tests. But maybe in those areas is worse.
Yeah, I think maybe for places like Africa as well, they might have more cases, but people die of so many illnesses there that it's kind of
they just
maybe
don't die of it. It's really just a flu for them.
Yeah. And, interesting.
And for us,
I've heard a few theories, and these are just theories. But you mentioned air pollution. Some people say maybe Milan has a special like a lot of business between there and Wuhan for textiles, for fashion. And the other one I've heard is maybe there's a lot of old people. But I mean, you're the doctor, you're in the region, so I kind of want to ask you more about what you know.
As I told you, I
Um,
didn't want to be like a scientific statement. It's
yeah.
just my personal feeling, because it's true that we have a
Mm,
lot of contacts, but no more than other centers. And if the
mm,
very first cases that has been um, uh, written scientifically in Europe has been in Germany. There is a very nice letter on the New England that's dated at the beginning. That's dating the beginning of February, the end of January, and apparently out there they didn't, just the thing died on its own, or well, didn't give such a big widespread as it did in our area, in our region. um, so it might be just a chance, or it might be uh, something that's affecting our lungs, or who knows.
yeah. And so since February 24th, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. Generally, just it's the same story every week. It just kind of gets worse. That's kind of the program. But uh, for you right now, as a medical doctor, you're a cardiologist. What is your life like at the moment?
Uh, the whole life, as I was telling you, has been completely disrupted by this infection. Our hospital has been completely shut down for everything else that's not the coronavirus.
Wow.
We just have the stroke unit going on its own. The overall national health system has to be rearranged around this. Basically, what happened was that um, is just burning out all our resources, that there is very little left to regular illness, that they just didn't they didn't disappear. People still getting myocardial infarctions, still getting car accidents, still getting strokes or brain hemorrhages. It's just that all the ICU beds are being used for this patient, that are using them for like 15 to 20 days. So it's not just like regular patient that they take an ICU bed most of the time for 1, 2, 3 days. They get better, they go out. They're getting ICU bed and staying there. I mean, very few go in ICU bed. But if you multiply like the 2% of patients that get affected by thousands of people, you get so many people that are needing high level of cares, that we are not ready to give it. Otherwise, to spare, I would say, from regular illness. We have a range of cares that we have available to spare, that now I don't have the opportunity anymore to read
Yeah.
it.
Um.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
No,
Hold on
that's
a
okay.
second. Just
No
1 second,
problem.
I apologize.
Um. Yeah, guys. I mean, I'm going to ask Alessandro when he's back just about the difference between Ireland and Italy. I was just going to ask you there, Alessandro. In Ireland right now, we have it starting. We have maybe 20 cases. Maybe it's changing today, but for people right now, it's still just a kind of a story from another place. You hear maybe 20 people have it, but it's all about what's going to happen in a few weeks. And in one way, it doesn't even feel real yet. It does not yet feel real. So, uh, like, can you say from an eyewitness point of view that it really is having an effect? Like ICU beds, you say, are full of coronavirus patients. Um, are you seeing it stretch the healthcare system before your eyes? Also, have you seen patients yourself? Are you witnessing much in the hospital with your own eyes?
Obviously, we all meet patients, because before being patient, they are just regular people. They
Mm,
take access to the hospital. They don't. Most of them, they don't look different from a
mm,
person you might meet, until they get the swab done, and then you figure out that they have coronavirus. So is in front of our hospital, for example, they had 6 tents. One of those tents that they use when there is earthquake. Those blue tents, like you see in any refugee camp all around the world, in which all the patients get screened out. So they get all the like flu-like symptoms they get on one side, and all the other flu-like and not flu-like, they get addressed and triaged in a different way, in a way just to avoid spreading the disease between people. And then they get swabbed, and if the swab is positive, thank God we have the opportunity to swab them in few hours and clear most of them. And if they don't have dangerous situation, they get sent home and quarantine as everybody else, because on its own the disease is not that bad. Those patients that require a more accurate triaging, or they have other illness, they get admitted, and we have, like, at this very moment, 3 wards for them, in which they stayed on isolated beds, and with about each ward having around 20 rooms. Most of the patients get sent home, basically.
Yeah, because if it's not so bad. But that's just the point I wanted to make for the audience, is that because it's not happened here yet, it just seems like, when you hear of a earthquake or a volcano somewhere else, you think it's just interesting story. And will it really happen? The moment when it's really happening is when, and it's not just news, is when a person who has it, you see triage tents, all of this kind of stuff. Now, I have read some stories about people being treated in army getting involved in it, kind of going outside hospitals. Is that fake news or is that real?
No, it's right. Milan has a very large army hospital in a center, in which obviously we are, the government is trying to use every medical equipment available, and thank God that army has always his own equipment that are kept in case of their emergency, obviously, and now they are being used for this emergency. So there is one army hospital that's pretty well equipped and is being used in Milan, and as well in Rome. The first quarantine patient that arrived from China, they were treated in an army hospital where they could be, segregated, I would say, because at the beginning felt something far away.
That is interesting to know. So it's just that Milan does have a good military hospital, so I suppose it makes sense.
So Rome does. So
that's
the beginning. Yeah.
A key question I think a lot of Irish people would want to know, and so do I, is in Ireland's healthcare system is it's not bad. I think, as far as I know, the service is okay, good treatment, expertise and everything, but its resources are very, very stretched. You might wait 2 years for a certain appointment, and people are in the corridors, in beds, and stuff like that. Our healthcare system, some people say our healthcare system is at 110% capacity, so it's over capacity right now, and that's before any coronavirus. So what has a lot of people here worrying is if it's over the limit before this happens, what's going to happen after, especially with ICU beds. They're adding 20 beds, but that's 20 for the whole country. And people worry that our system cannot cope with it. It's especially bad. How was Italy's healthcare system, generally speaking, before coronavirus? Do you think it was ready for this? Or do what state was it in before virus, would you say?
The Lombardy region has, had one of the, most advanced and equipped health system in Italy at that point, just before February 24th. It was providing, I don't have numbers, but I'm sure it was providing like 50% of cares for all the other regions, especially for the most advanced and equipped hospital were in this region. And they had to be all rearranged because none of them were infectious disease or were thought to be infectious disease hospital. You probably know that hospitals in the 1800, like 18th or just before the 20th century, were thought for infectious disease widespread. After the antibiotics, basically after the Second World War, we start building these new hospitals that they are very compact. They are not very widespread. They don't have pavilions far away. They are made for modern medicine. So we are, from the structural building to everything else, we are not ready for avoiding widespread of infection disease. These were done, pneumonia and everything else, they were done just before the Second World War, when you have all these, large hospital, few beds spread away, large windows and things like that. Now it's just the opposite way, very compacted, so you can provide fast care, very technological fast care right away. All the ventilation is forced ventilation, is not free ventilation. Many things are made in a way that today's hospitals are not ready to cope. Even the most equipped and modern one are made not to address infectious diseases. So everything had to be redone. Positive pressure has to be done in rooms in a way that, the other way around, sorry, negative pressure in a way that the virus were not sent off the rooms. So only OR, operating rooms, suites were ready to avoid that, in which the ventilation can be controlled so strictly, and the air can be filtered out and in, and so you don't just suck virus out of the rooms and you spread it around, and all things like that. Our hospital, from the basic to the largest, are not made like that. Everything had to be rearranged from the smallest, particular to everything else.
And of course, you're a medical professional yourself, and I'm sure you have much respect for your colleagues who work on the front lines. But in terms of the overall system, do you worry that it will start to fall behind, or it will be overwhelmed? You could say it's already overwhelmed, but do you think it could reach a kind of breaking point, or what worries you right now about this?
Just what you said, that the overall system will be overwhelmed by the disease. When you start having more people that you can treat, you start to have decide who you can treat or you can't treat. We are not used to that. We are used to give everything to everybody. Every single patient that comes to our hospital gets everything, and that's not possible once you start having thousands and thousands of patients. Okay, and as long as you are in the hundreds can be still managed from, I think, every system, because the number of beds can be arranged, can be switched over. We do a lot of prevention that you shut down. We do a lot of small surgeries that can wait, orthopedic, prosthesis, eye surgery, everything that you can shut down for a few months, and the overall population obviously would affect them, but wouldn't be life-threatening diseases that you are shutting down. So as long as you are in the hundreds, you can treat them. When you go to the thousand, you don't. It's not just the equipment that you are missing. That they can be built at a very fast race. It's like airplanes. When you are at war, you can build the airplanes, but you have to train the pilots. And that's the same for us. You can definitely build hospitals. You can take, any kind of, pavilion or whatever, put them beds and machinery, and you can borrow them from all around the world. You can even move, I don't know what kind of Navy hospitals, like boats that you can anchor in ports. But if you don't have doctors and nurses to staff them up, they are useless, because to train an ICU doctor you need months, and to train an ICU nurse you need months. Otherwise, the old equipment, they don't work on their own. The patient in healthcare, the human factor is still dramatically important. We don't have robots that build up things. We have people that take care of people.
Yeah, that's interesting and kind of worrying as well. So, in your daily experience, are your nurses and doctors being transferred to jobs that they don't usually do? Are you having that experience? Are you having that experience?
Yeah, every single nurse in our hospital that had an experience in ICU has been moved. They just had any experience in the ICU, maybe at the beginning of their career, maybe 2 years in their career, and now they are OR nurse, and they are whatever, kidney section nurse, or general practitioner. They've been recalled in. They've been facility trained, like 1-2 weeks in a general ICU, and they are sent in the COVID ICU. So that's absolutely what happened. Everybody that had the least experience, they've been retrained and rearranged. Even because in the COVID ICU, the number of people needed is much more than usual. because you probably have seen those people working in their white suit with masks and eyeglasses and high protection and everything else. If you can imagine working in that suit, is really, really heavy. We all did our training, and just dressing up and dressing down, it's really fatigue. Furthermore, once you enter the suites, you cannot get out for the whole switch. It's not that you can enter in and out for one single reason. Every time you get out, you have to undress, and that's all disposable thing. And we don't have enough disposable thing to be changed like two, 3 times for each switch. So each switch has to be cut down to 6 hours. Once somebody enters in the suite, it stays there until the switch is done. So usually you have 3 switch per patient. Now we have to have 4. But it's like astronauts that they go out for a spacewalk. It's not that they can come in, have a coffee, and go out once again. They go out for the 6 to 8 hours, and then you get back in. It's just the same, because we are missing equipment. We cannot just waste them for a coffee or things like that.
Yeah, so doctors are almost becoming like soldiers. You have to. It's getting tough now. You have to just deal with. In the sense that a soldier, when conditions change, and it might be tough, you just have to deal with it. It sounds like almost those kind of conditions, maybe for doctors. Are people getting tired? Because in Wuhan, when the breakout was at its worst, we saw videos of doctors fainting, passing out from tiredness. How's it? I think the video is the video playing on your side.
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah,
I'm just hearing you.
Is it on mute? Just try to make it on mute there. If it's not, I was hearing myself back there. No, it could be me. But anyway, the conditions in Wuhan, people were getting exhausted. Is that happening in Milan, in Italy?
As far as I know, that's happening mostly in the red, zone, where they have 2 hospitals just very close, and sorry.
No, Alessandro, you're a busy man at the moment. You're in the epicenter of Europe.
No,
you can look at your phone, no problem, my man. Don't worry.
I apologize.
Not at all.
So what happened is basically that in those centers, people are getting overstressed, mostly because they are lacking replacement, because doctors and nurses, they get sick on their own. Some of them, they get sick at the very beginning when things were not that bad, so we don't understand. They wasn't clear there was corona because we needed a few days. And so some of them, they were just knocked off at the very beginning. And so they are understaffed, although the replacement are being pulled in. And furthermore, they had the heaviest wave of patients. So they definitely are working hard, as doing long stretches. That's for sure. But as far as I know, the overall system so far has been responding pretty well. Obviously, all of us have been working in a way that we are keeping the elder and, I would say younger, elder, or, away from us. Obviously, we send our kids away with the grandpa and grandma, whoever could, to mountains or, far away. Or if they can't, they stay at the hospital, and we just give, video calls. Some of our friends are doing that to avoid to bring home, those things, trying to protect those people that we think they might get the disease out of us.
That almost sounds like war. When Britain was in the war or something, they would send children away because bombs might come to London, so they went to the countryside. I mean, it does have. I think that's almost like a theme that's emerging in this conversation. Is that it feels like war to me a little bit. Now,
well,
my next
it's something that's being repeated. We are kind of in a war. It's something that's being repeated constantly, not because we have an enemy or another nation that wants to kill us. It's because all the resources that we have is being drained and is being dedicated to this war. So it's a war economy in that way, that all the money available are being given to that effort, and most of the other sectors are being shut down. If you can imagine, all the pubs, all the restaurants, all the cinemas, all the theater, gym, anything else. You know what I mean. Everything
Yeah,
has to be dedicated.
I'm just looking at. I won't keep you much longer because, of course, you need to rest and enjoy when you're not working and not be talking to me too much. But there's just a few stories just like that. So just for the audience, you maybe know this, I assume. But Italy suspends mortgage payments for the next while because people have to be at home. People aren't working. People aren't really doing anything. So they really won't be able to pay their mortgages. We
Yeah.
have. We have a doctor in Italy says scarce resources require triage and old patients are being left by the wayside. Now, I don't know how true that is. That's one doctor. And lastly, we have, okay, someone says there's looting and police checkpoints. I mean, you're a doctor. It's not your, is that not true? That is the Mirror. So it's bad source, maybe.
I've not heard about looting.
Yeah.
There are checkpoints because by the law we can leave home only to go to work or to to go for shopping or to do our basic or health things. So obviously they are checking if people are complying with that. But I wouldn't say that's. There is not like a earthquake or a bombarded town outside. Everybody is pretty keen or blind to the law. At least in my experience here in Milan, people are well educated. People are keeping away. Yesterday I was at a supermarket to get something. Everybody was about 1 meter, 1/2 meter from the others. Everybody wearing face masks, and there was the usual people that they are checking at the entrance of the supermarket, and they were letting few people in as soon as few people were getting out. So on my experience is that people is being very well educated and well complying to it. Obviously, as you always know, there is always the black sheep, the bad guy in every situation. But if I can tell you, 90 to 95% of people is getting pretty scared and is happy to comply with the rules. I can say that most people are asking for more stringent measures, like shutting down all the public transportation and shutting down everything for like 2 weeks, so to close it up. We know that if we don't see each other for 2 weeks, probably the virus is going to be away.
So it's not that people are complaining that it's too much; they're complaining that they need more measures. In Ireland, we have similar. No insult to Italy, but Italy is where it all is. And a lot of Irish people are getting angry because every day there maybe is 4 flights into Dublin from Milan. And I think they might be cancelled now. But after Italy,
I know that most people, most flight has been cancelled out of Italy, not only Milan.
But even for the last week, Milan and Italy was kind of shut down, and yet there were flights coming into Ireland, and people were saying to politicians, "Stop!" But they were just too kind of they are afraid to take action, so they haven't. But
what is now our knowledge of those flights were people from outside country trying to get home. That has been our knowledge, that they couldn't shut down all the flights because the citizens were trying to get home from here. So
that's fair.
That has been our knowledge because those flights were going out. Most people from here were not going around, especially flights that were coming in empty and going out full. Because of people, residing in Italy, were trying to get home. And I understand that on an outbreak is not the right thing to do, because to protect your country, you should be staying where you are until the outbreak is down.
But I mean, you could also argue that if Italy has a big problem and Irish people are getting sick, maybe it's our problem. So it's maybe there are two sides to that argument. But
I'm not saying that it's wrong trying to get home. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying that what we heard was that that airlines could not shut down the flight to allow people that were trying to get home.
Okay, well that is interesting to know. That is good information. Okay, so my second last question, because again, I could talk to you for maybe 2 more hours, but we won't do that. For your sake, Italy has had this big outbreak, and a country that is quite similar, maybe, as Korea, had numbers like 7,000, 8,000. I see here on the screen actually. What do we have? Yeah, Italy 9, 8, Iran 8, Korea 7. You're all in the same kind of region. Now, Korea seems to be dealing with it a little bit better. Their numbers have reduced. Some people say they've dealt with it quite well, like Singapore. Uh, do you think there are differences between maybe Korea and Italy, or just in general, what has Italy done right and done wrong, compared to maybe, let's say, Korea or any other country?
Given that we don't know why those
Hmm.
outbreaks were in those 3, 4 countries, and like France, Germany are not going all that far away, I think it's very hard to understand what has been done right and wrong on a very scientific point of view. I think all the European countries are pretty much the same in terms of population, in terms of genetics, in terms of what we look like. We are a whole big country at this point, and people are moving freely from here to there, without too many restrictions, without any checkpoints, without anything. So it's very hard to understand and to say what has been right and what has been wrong at this point, I think.
Okay, fair enough. And just the next question, which leads on from that, is that, and I'll leave it after this, is that Ireland has 20 cases, maybe more, but we have around 20 diagnosed cases. If we were back in Italy when it had 20 diagnosed cases, and you could maybe recommend some changes to change what happened, what would you advise Ireland do, to maybe intervene in the situation now, or would we just do exactly what Italy has done? Are there any lessons?
Not that I can be aware of.
So, okay, so 'cause I was thinking, yeah, I mean, a lot of people complain that we're doing things wrong at the moment. Maybe, yeah, there's a
I
lot of
hope you
scandals.
are isolating them. I hope you are quarantining them and trying to isolate them.
Well,
But
there was one case where a doctor came back from Italy and went to work, and she had it, and she's given it to other people. So little mistakes like that, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I think we'll all be keeping an eye on Italy. I hope you keep your, like, food and sleep and all that. You've been working for a long time, so you know what to do. But it's going to be hard, I assume. And whether you're Italian or whether you're Irish, I think a lot of people have respect for medical personnel doing what you're doing now. It's a special kind of job, especially, and that becomes clear at a time like this. So, any final thoughts?
good luck. I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm
Yeah.
sure we will be fine.
Yeah.
Things are tough, but I know that we all be fine in a few months, and everything will be back as it were. Has been,
Yeah.
rough things that hit us today. Will be. It's like a chance. It's like a disease. We are all healthy, and then one day you discover you have a big bump somewhere, or a small mass somewhere else, or something things, and your life changes in a day, and that's how life it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good to stay positive about it rather than freaking out. Yeah. Be vigilant, and but also be
Correct.
somewhat positive. Dr. Alessandro.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the Spanish version.
that's
Dr.
fine.
Alessandro Barbone, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
having me.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. So, everybody, how was that? How I just said I'd stay on. I could have kind of left there, but I said I'd stay on with you. So say hello in the chat if we're all good, and if you enjoyed it, and if you gained anything from it. Is there anything else I should have asked him? I'm trying to learn all the time. That's what will be getting me. I'll be thinking about, what should have I asked him? But yeah. Thanks everybody for joining me. Yeah, like with the story in Ireland at the moment, I don't know. you have to kind of be level-headed. Is our healthcare system that much worse than other countries? Maybe, maybe not. I think probably maybe yes. We're high capacity as it is. How are we going to deal with it? Is our country going to have the response mechanisms that maybe Italy or maybe England or Germany or France have, or even Spain, because they are kind of the larger countries, and they have kind of military protocol, large scale things. You know, I know I sound like a waffling there, but you know, even in China, I found that yes, they had a big outbreak in Wuhan, but they could keep supply chains going and isolate that region while they had 1.3 billion other people in this vast hinterland to kind of, so that you saw these shipments of things coming in and out of Wuhan. They had just a big reserve of country remaining to serve that. A country like Ireland doesn't. It's not highly martial. That's what I mean in terms of military and in terms of shutting things down. You look at somewhere like Paris. Now, it's a bad thing that I hope I'm not mute. That'd be bad. No, I'm not. So yeah, you look at a place like Paris, and when you arrive there on plane, it's on, or you arrive there on a trip, you see military with guns everywhere. It's a negative thing. I hate that that's the case in let's say Paris, but in the context of something like a kind of a civil kind of breakdown a little bit, or a crisis like this, that is kind of handy. They have these systems in place that are used to it. I wonder if Ireland has anything like that. So I could waffle on for a while. Anything there in the chat? I hope you all enjoyed it anyway. I felt kind of lucky to have a doctor from Milan. I mean, talking to me. So thanks to Alessandro. Someone's asking me, hi Garrod, Noreen Lonergan. Hi Garrod, what do you think of Amazing Polly's video on Event 201? I'll have to look into that. I haven't seen that actually, Noreen's. But I will. I know Polly, and I will have to have a look at that. Yeah. So that was your on the ground report from Italy, from Lombardy, from Milan, right at the belly of the beast. It's a two-sided tale. I think they're struggling. They're doing badly. As far as I gleaned from Alessandro, it's difficult, but I think he hinted that there is a bit of kind of civic society kicking in, and by that I don't mean like lobby groups. I mean people, and people coming together, people respecting the rules, and maybe that he mentioned that people want more measures. They want more. It's not that they're annoyed that they have roadblocks and this and that. They actually want more. They want to participate in stopping this actively, and they're respecting that, which is good. And that is the big issue. It's the clash between economy, the GDP world, the eternal growth of the line or whatever, the markets, versus people's health. And people, this does kill people, and they're not just old people or just sick people. They are people too, and it doesn't just kill older sick people. And even if it doesn't kill you, it can put you in ICU, and it's proven that that can have lasting damage on your lungs. Fibrous tissues build up in your lungs, or scarring, effectively. Someone asked me here, hi Garrod, when do you think the revolt will happen? We'll have to see about that. But yeah. What else was I going to say there about this? Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat here. Yeah, so it is good to see people come together like that. And at a certain point, in terms of this economy, markets versus people's health, a decision has to be made on that. And I just hope in Ireland the state doesn't act too late. It was slow on stopping the planes. It was slow on all sorts of things. I know that Fine Gael and the sitting government will just start pulling out the funds. But funds are just, throwing money at a problem doesn't get rid of it. That's universally true. It requires more than that. And it also is, in a way, maybe, as the good doctor said, maybe in a certain positive sense, it's a test of the resilience of society. And you can see how society comes together, and who from society comes together, and kind of, test a nation's strength. I don't know. We don't, ideally, it just wouldn't be happening. Someone says shut the schools now. I agree. There is a rumor. This is just a rumor, but I think it's a pretty strong rumor at this point. I've heard it in 2 or 3 different places. Is that from next Monday they're closing schools for 5 weeks take that with a pinch of salt. We don't know for sure. Someone saying they didn't stop the flights from Italy. Again, I'm not 100% in that. It's all moving very quickly, fast developing. So, you can verify that for yourself. Be your own researcher as well. Don't trust just what I say or anybody else says. Look it up. That's always the best way to go. Trinity has shut down shut down for online classes, says the last True Gale. I've seen that as well. Someone says reactive, not proactive. Reactive, not proactive, but in Ireland? ? We'll have to see about that. Someone says Irish soldiers are well drilled in riot control. Okay. I don't understand the ins and outs of the Irish military as well. I just, maybe they are as on point and numerous as let's say the British military and as experienced. I don't know. They may or may not be. Someone else says they're still flying planes. I'm not sure. So anyway, I'd better leave it there because I could ramble on forever. Thanks again to Dr. Alessandro Barbone. So, I don't know if he looks back on this. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for joining me. I did want to say, actually, I'm not one to, boast or shill or grift or whatever, but please share this around. You can share this to whoever. It's good information. And, where else would you get it? Because, you can watch Primetime and you can watch whatever, and they're talking about it in small little segments, and it's kind of highly political and there's not much in it to learn, really. I saw Claire Byrne was washing her hands on TV last night, so this was an on-the-ground report from, like I say, not just Italy, not just Lombardy, but from Milan at the center of this. And you got it. I don't know how long we were talking for. We were talking for a while. We've had an at-length conversation about this, so you should share it to your friends and to your family, and subscribe as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. Take it easy. See ya.